Hello and welcome back to Movie Beaters with the Farx Brothers. I'm Kirk.
I'm Kyle. Wait, you can't use my take from earlier? I'm
What
sorry.
do you
I'm
mean?
Kyle.
I didn't use your take. Just start an argument. Come on.
It's a bait show.
Yeah, keep it going.
It's not a review show. It's sort of an interview show. How has this felt to you so far?
It's been fun. I love this.
Oh, great. That's wonderful, Alison.
Two bickering brothers. Yeah, that's great.
Two bickering brothers. That could have been another name for the show.
Well, I still have to introduce
Oh,
Alison.
shoot.
Guessou.
Sorry.
Guessou. I almost forgot it. Yeah. Sorry. Alison Guessou, producer, writer, director of Out of Time. And we're going to be talking about spoilers, deep dive.
Part of it I'm interested about is you gave a little bit of the path not taken, is that it was a neurological disease. The thing about COVID is comorbidities, older people, 0.5% of the population died. What's the deal with like the kids in this thing, in your original take and the version that made it to screen?
Yeah, so with kids, I really wanted to have like an emotional core because I feel like there's a lot of people who would be able to hopefully have a softer heart towards kids being, in harm's way. Because some people really don't care about old people, some people don't care about other adults, give or take. But children are young, they're innocent, most are harmless.
My kids are not innocent. You came while I was still putting them to bed. I'm sorry.
Throw them under the bus.
Take that, Dooches. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, she's going to listen to this years later.
Years later, so how dare you, Dad?
I really throw some of the bus a lot. Mrs. Farx will enjoy that.
Yeah, so, but yeah, with the element of it being kids, I just felt like people would be able to relate whether or not they have them, right? Mm-hmm. Because these are just innocent beings that are, just helpless.
Honestly, I watched the movie. I didn't know it was sci-fi till the Q&A. And then I was like, oh, and then when you said there aren't kids around and it's quiet a lot, at first I thought, oh, well, that's a smart way to make an independent movie where there's not a lot of people around, so it's easier. But when you said it, I was like, okay, because like have most kids died or something like that?
Yes, so a good portion of them are are dead, and a lot of them are in hospital, so like hanging on for their dear lives.
Okay, and I did. You based it on Martin Shkreli.
He was one of the inspirations
Okay.
because I was watching this CNBC program where he came on and was bragging about how he had like quintupled the cost of, I think it was like insulin or something like that, but it was, again, something that should be $30 in most places was going for like $600 just because he said he could. And they asked him, why would you do something like that? And he didn't even really have a great answer for it. He said just because he could. If you've ever been to a hospital, because I've been to it a couple times, but you get back, you see your bill, and you're like, $400 for what exactly? Mm-hmm. And how does this break down? You can ask for the breakdown from sun to sundown. I've done that before in Minnesota, and it still doesn't make any sense. And then you look at how much insurance covers that you pay a premium for every single month, especially if you're working full time, you have to have insurance. And you look at the premium that they cover, and it's like close to nothing. So it's like, so what is this for? This is a business. They're running it as a business, but then why are they holding us hostage?
Listen, just because more than half of bankruptcies in this country are due to medical debt, I don't know if there's any correlation there. My question was, why doesn't the pharmaceutical company just kill Charlotte Marie's character?
That would have been an easy way out, and that would have ended the movie in like 2 minutes.
Okay, but had you considered that? Because that's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, they just kill her.
And I know that a lot of companies that feel threatened by their whistleblowers do that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to take that route because at the end of the day, I wanted to have some sort of hope for my character, and for people watching.
That's what made it science fiction for me. Is
Yeah.
that place where they wouldn't just,
She made it to the end.
I mean, yeah. Oh, she oopsed in her car at some point, which would be terrible.
Yeah.
Love Charlotte Marie. So another thing that really, just really made me sad was that her caretaker screws her over and steals money. It isn't really a bait. It's just a question. Like, what inspired that?
So that was part of just the exploration of human nature, where everybody reacts differently when their backs are against the wall. Mm-hmm. So even though I didn't really go in depth with Leona's character, who's the caretaker, she did at some point have a brother, but her way of dealing with and we can tell from, where she lives that she doesn't come from money. The way she talks about her family, she didn't have the support growing up. So her outcome for how she chooses to survive is basically at all costs. As opposed to Charlotte Marie's character, Mona, who's the main character, she was more of the communal, I'm going to see what I can do not only for myself but for everybody. So it was really just looking at different aspects of how people react in a pandemic. And we've seen that, right? Like toilet paper on the shelves. You're fighting people over toilet paper on the shelves.
I did not fight anyone. Did you witness any fighting over? Did you fight in a store at all?
I luckily have the best husband in the whole world. I never even had to go outside once. He did all that, and he come back in and I'll spray him down and all that. But or even just like on a more serious note, like masking, a simple request of asking people to mask to save other people's lives, and it was so challenging for some people to do, and you have no idea why. So again, human nature presents itself in different ways in different people, and that was one of the ways that I wanted to portray it in the film.
I did like the human story. I always wonder about top-down systems in these sorts of things. You're a project manager, as has been discussed in the previous 2 segments. So since we're talking about pandemic, healthcare, and all that sort of stuff, what criticisms as a project manager would you have for how the pandemic in real life was handled?
Oh, God.
Because it sounds like you're kind of going, hey, some people, they didn't do it right. I'm always like, let's attack systems, not people. When we talked about the Minnesota thing in the previous segment, I appreciated that you didn't mention a single person. You talked about policy. So that's why I'm asking, as a project manager, what would you have done differently to manage the pandemic differently? As someone who thought about a pandemic and then made a movie about a post-pandemic.
Right. Yeah, because it was a movie about pre-pandemic, and then I changed it to then have it be post-pandemic. But information is extremely important, and we were not getting the right information, and the sources were confusing. So it was very difficult to know what was happening, what was truth, and even just what the severity of it was. Because again, in order for you to be able to make an educated decision on something, you have to have information, and we just were not getting that.
No, yeah, I think most to all people, even the ones who didn't wear masks when they were supposed to, would agree that more information is better. I'm going to talk about one of your short films because I had a question, and it hits on another hot button issue. What Marilyn didn't know, because I got it wrong in the other segment. She didn't know that her husband had a gun. And this is spoilers for all of your all of your work.
That's a huge spoiler.
Go to Djini Productions on YouTube. You can watch all your productions. Stop this podcast right now and do that. Okay. Thank you for coming back. Some of them will have done it, some of them won't. If Kendrick Lamar can tell people to shut off the TV during the Super Bowl, I can tell people to shut off the podcast. That's what he's involved in.
You just compare yourself to Kendrick Lamar.
I'm taking inspiration from Kendrick Lamar because I feel as though he's an entertainer of import. More people watched his Super Bowl halftime than Michael Jackson's. That could be fake news. I do not know.
I was about to say,
I am basing that on a meme I saw today. Supposedly like 133.5 million people saw Kendrick and 133.4 million saw.
I guess a lot more people have TVs now, access to TVs.
And Tubi makes it so it's possible that people all over.
But also Michael Jackson, this is a huge sidetrack, but he was the first big halftime performer. Yeah. Before then, they weren't really doing that. So he was the one who popularized it, which absolutely makes sense. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm an MJ fan.
That's huge. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Michael Jackson. I love Prince with Michael Jackson.
Okay, I'm from Michigan, so I'm not going to bait you because I would prefer Michael Jackson to Prince. I'll get Mrs. Farx to come in here and scream about how Prince is better. Do you have an opinion?
No, not really. But Michael Jackson. I think I've heard more Michael Jackson than Prince songs. Yeah.
Well, Prince.
Well, I'm also not a Minnesota native, so.
Oh, Michael didn't either.
Well, wait, but he slept in beds with them, and he's castrated.
Do you know how big his room is?
Sure, but
I'm not justifying that you need to be sleeping with other people's kids in the same room.
Well, I would never leave my kids with an adult weirdo overnight.
Oh, that's going far. He was not a weirdo. He was eccentric.
Totally a weirdo.
He was eccentric. You will not disrespect the legend in front of me.
I don't disrespect most people who are, of that level are weird, okay? I'm weird, but, that guy had an unfortunate life.
It is unfortunate. Yeah, he was
was he made a weirdo, or did he start off a weirdo?
It's a lot of tangents.
It's
It's our part of the show. We always go on tangents.
I don't mind it. I don't mind
Why
it.
does she kill herself? I did not get why Marilyn killed herself.
Yeah. Okay. I'm happy that you asked that.
Really? Thanks.
Yeah. Because I love to explain it because these are in my creative process that I hope people deduct from it when they watch it.
Okay.
But so if you think about Marilyn, again, what I was trying to portray here is this woman who is basically like a Stepford wife. Like everything is perfect in her life. Her husband has a great job. She's got the 2 kids, boy and a girl. Like everything is just fantastic, perfect. But she finds out that her husband is planning to commit what's the word for it when you're gonna go shoot like a terroristic act.
Oh, so he's gonna shoot up his office? That's what that scene implies?
Yeah.
Got it.
So
Okay.
she's gonna do all that. And so writing this, my question was for all those because this was inspired by the San Bernardino shootings.
Yeah.
Where guy goes into the office, guns down, however many of them, and everybody's like, "What do you mean the family didn't know? What do you mean they had no idea?" And so that was what I was thinking in the process of writing this. Is like, so if somebody were to find out that their spouse was going to do something this atrocious, how would they react? And knowing that Marilyn is all about perfection, and granted we didn't get to hear interact with other people because again that was going to be too much money I couldn't afford. But like if you were to see her, she's like the top dog in her group. You can get that of her. Yeah. But the sheer embarrassment of what it would be to explain, oh, my husband is a murderer. We're not as perfect as we're supposed to be. Like I would rather kill myself than have to deal with embarrassment.
That's terrible. I've often wondered why didn't Bill Cosby or like Harvey Weinstein kill themselves? You know what I mean? But they actually didn't shoot up a place. They just...
I mean, what they did was just
horrific,
as bad. Just as horrible.
You go to jail for about the same amount of time from what I understand. But yeah, okay. So that unlocks that one for me. And when you said the thing about 911, when it's what if a different outcome had happened, when I watched it the first time and then watched it again today, I was like, what's the difference? And so the difference in 911, and we're gonna just jump through all your short films right now. So in the difference in 911 is that the cops don't kill?
No. So the same thing happens because this is the reality. This is the reality that we live in, right? Because we know that they're reckless with the way that they use their armor. It's not so much to protect but the community, but just, I don't know, out of sheer fear. And say, if you're afraid, why are you in that line of work? Anyway.
No, the Supreme Court says they do not have a duty to protect anymore.
That's a whole different thing. I know. So, but the scenario is they still do this atrocious act, but instead of like planting the knife on this person or like, saying, oh, we didn't do anything or trying to get their story straight, maybe they try to save this person's life. Because again, if I were to make a mistake, I feel like I would do everything in my power to make it right, especially if it involves somebody getting hurt. I'm not just going to leave them and watch them bleed out. You would hope that, hey, okay, crap, I did this thing. I know it doesn't look good, but if I can at least keep this person alive, maybe it'll be light on my conscience. Maybe I'll be a better human being. So that's where I was going with that second one.
Oh yeah, because it's like, you can apply CPR. Okay, got it. You like spicy topics that are in the news, it seems. And it inspires your movies.
They tend to, because it's kind of like, I think when I think of like what I want to work on is just really what is either I can't stop thinking of in that moment. So 2015 obviously was Philando Castile, so that was that. Shortly after was, San Bernardino, so that was that. I want to do something a little bit lighter after those two really heavy topics. So I thought about, hey, we don't really get to see Black people just being happy and married, just living life, or chilling, being like that. And that's how that came up. And, It's Not You was a little bit influenced off of kind of like not only personal history, but like pandemic as well, where a lot of people were realizing that, wait, I don't know this person I'm living with, or I don't know my friends as well as I thought I did. And so that was the inspiration for that. It's like what happens when you realize that maybe your friends really aren't your friends,
I listen. it doesn't sound like that was your experience in the pandemic. Your husband was great.
Oh, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My wife and I, my wife birthed our first child February 2020, and it was great. I would recommend a pandemic to anyone if you just had a kid.
They let you go in?
Oh, yes, February 2020.
Oh, that was before. Yeah, that's right. Because the shutdown was March.
Yeah, and then most of my motivation for getting vaccinated, honestly, was like my mom couldn't take the vaccine because of the delivery method of the thing. So I was under the impression that by taking it, somehow that lowered the curve, and I thought I would have to for my second daughter's birth to go in, and no issue. They didn't even ask for a vaccination or anything when I went in for my, and this is June 2021. Gender topics you mentioned earlier, and in Happily Married After, the guy is into Scandal and the gal is into football. Is that a commentary on gender roles?
You know, it is.
Okay.
Because I didn't want it to be too tropey, you know, where it's like, if we're not, like, why does it always have to be the guys into sports? And, you know, why can't a guy be into a good series? Right? Scandal's amazing, by the way. I love Shonda Rhimes.
I have watched the masterclass from Shonda, and specifically watched the Scandal pilot within the past year to like get the idea of how she structures her 5 acts and that sort of thing.
We're rewatching Scandal right now. It's amazing. I love it.
Did you like The West Wing and House of
I
Cards?
have not seen The West Wing. Did
Okay.
watch The House of Cards.
Got it.
Liked House of Cards. From what I've seen, The West Wing, I don't know if I would have liked it.
It's probably too positive. It's like a fantasy.
It's not that positive.
You don't think The West Wing is positive?
It's positive, but it's not super positive. I think they run into a lot of roadblocks for sure.
Sure. The president does extrajudicial killings of foreign dignitaries.
Spoiler.
I heard that was a show where they kind of invented the walk and move.
Yeah, the walk and talk.
Yeah, the walk and talk. Yeah.
Yes. I think that was Thomas Shamali is the director who... It's an Aaron Sorkin created show. How do you feel towards Aaron Sorkin? Yeah, all right. Not a lot of praise. What are his projects that you've seen?
You would have to call him because I know the name, but you'd have to call him. I don't know.
Social Network.
Okay, that was good.
Steve Jobs.
Didn't see that one.
That's fine.
Wait, which Steve Jobs?
Not the one with Ashton Kutcher, the one with Magneto as Steve Jobs. Sorry.
No,
Michael
I don't think.
Fassbender?
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one.
Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, that's his name.
I'm trying to think. He did a Lucy movie. We're in spoilers for your movie. I appreciated that. He's a big like talky, give lots of information. There was lots of information that was given to me not by talking in your movie. It was like just the way Laurie moves into the room as her character. She mentioned on the show that she very much liked playing an evil person, which I enjoyed. And as soon as she walked in the room, had I not known Laurie, had she not told me that, I could have told you, don't trust that lady. Just based on the whole, like, what was the lobby you used in the conference room for that, or as much detail as you can get? How'd you get that?
So Poultice, which is Laurie's company, Lynn News company in Out of Time, that was actually downtown Minneapolis, and it was one of my cold emails to realtors, like, hey, can I talk to whoever manages this building, and are you interested? And this is what I do, and this is my history of work.
Yeah,
is what I can provide you.
Nice.
It's helpful to have a history of work. So and this is what I plan to do with it. The film. So that was downtown. I forget the actual name of the building, but it's you can probably see it on this, like 60th and something, but it's like on Marquette.
Okay.
Yeah, it's downtown. But also one of the exterior was the other side of the Edinburgh building in Edina.
Yep.
Because for Deadwin Pharmaceuticals, this law office that's there, Ron Uski, him and his business partner allowed me to film there, and so we're able to...
Shout out to Ron.
Shout out to Ron. Ron's amazing. So I was able to, use different sides of the building for exterior shots of each one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, use the same building but different sides to be... Got it.
For exterior, and then interior we were able to get different locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you tell them it was a bad guy's office?
Well,
would that matter? I don't know.
Yeah, I gave him the script. To read.
There's no way they read the script.
You know,
the whole 90 pages you gave
he's a lawyer. He probably knows how to get through things fast enough, you know. So.
That's I'm gonna spoil. Have you seen The Godfather?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do a Barbie on you.
No, it's all good.
No,
you never know what I haven't seen. So.
No, do you know the scene in the Barbie where he's like, "Have you seen the Godfather?"
Oh.
That was the one
That's
direct
the
hit in that movie that my wife was like, "Huh?" On opening day of Barbie, I haven't seen The Godfather. Do you give me? But she has seen the series based on the making of The Godfather. The author.
I have not seen that, but I heard about it. Yeah.
I'm going to spoil one tiny thing for you. And at one point, they have to give a script to somebody to read, and it's not all the way done. So they just shove some pages in the middle because, like, they're not going to read the whole thing.
Yeah,
they're going to flip through the beginning and look at the end. I guess, but that was an in-person thing. You make a good argument about the lawyer. I'm not going to. See, I told you I wouldn't be able to bait your movies with you since you wrote them. What's something that people haven't asked yet about the movie that you wish they would?
I feel like a lot of people ask like good questions because they ask questions like, why didn't Mona cash the check?
Yeah.
Why didn't she cash the check? That would have solved a lot of problems.
It would have solved a lot of problems, but it would also implicated her as well.
Yeah,
she would have gotten tied up in the legal wrongness of what was going on.
Yeah, so she could at least CYA with that.
But she'd already committed corporate espionage. I guess to some degree, I'm not sure if stealing a intellectual property, right? Because that's what she does, right?
She basically does, yeah.
She steals the molecular makeup for a drug, a vaccine.
It's a vaccine. Well, no, it's a drug because it's buckle.
Buckle.
Mm-hmm. It's like mouth dissolving.
Oh, it's a tablet you take or something like that. God, and you have to let it dissolve in your mouth. Why?
Because the kids are basically inanimate.
They can't swallow.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, no, that's great. I appreciate that you've thought of this. I was surprised people asked about a continuation of the story. I'd almost be more interested in your prequel idea. Do you have a idea for, like, you wrote a story that you couldn't use? Would you take the elements of that and use it somewhere else?
I don't know that I would. I feel like it's had its own chapter and it feels complete for me.
Sure.
I love that people are antagonizing about wanting more, so that makes me feel good as a filmmaker. But I feel like sometimes you let good enough alone.
Right, yeah.
Totally understand that. I want to ask about your distribution. You're pursuing distribution deals right now.
Currently am, yep. So basically, I had a sales rep reach out to me after one of the festivals, and I was a little bit wary about working with them because they asked for an upfront fee, and I've always been that kind of person to be like, I would never work with anybody who asked for an upfront fee. I would never do that. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a chance because it's like half up to start going, and then the other half once you get distribution. And I was thinking the benefit of this is they will hopefully get me into the rooms, and this is virtual rooms, with the people who could potentially distribute it. Like I have my list of distributors that I'd love to be able to connect with, and I was like, hey, can you get me in front of these people? And
who's that? I mean, who knows who will listen to this, but do you not want to say who you want it to be distributed?
Well, I'll tell you, I haven't heard from any of them yet.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you the spoiler alert. But I've heard from others though, and I don't want to talk about those yet because
I'm not asking for inactive. Yeah.
So
by the time this comes out, you might have already sold it. So.
Yeah, you know, but because again, I was going in. I was mentally okay with self-distributing because I've heard horror stories about distributors.
Such as?
Like, they take your film for however long, they make the money off of it, and you don't get to see a dime. And I'm not expecting to be rich off of this film because I understand I'm a no-name person and I have no-name folks from basically no-name. I don't know why people don't give Minnesota enough credit. We deserve some, but
Charlotte Marie is a name to me.
To us, right? But then to Hollywood or like any other distributor or like Netflix wouldn't say, "Oh, I know Charlotte Marie Bailey." You know, they're not gonna say that.
Of course not.
You know, I hope they do
Probably
one day.
Paula Kahneman though.
I mean, I hope they do one day to all of them. But then we don't have that kind of leverage. So I was like, if I'm not gonna make any money anyways, I'd rather do it myself. And if I make a little bit of change here and there, I'm happy with that. But at least I still own it, right? Because with distributors, it's basically they get, even though you still quote unquote own it, you really just can't up and do anything with it without them knowing first.
Right.
And so there's like gates to be able to do whatever you want to do with your own stuff. All this to say, talking with the distributor so far, the theme seems to be like a 7-year minimum. Nothing up front in terms of like, because minimum guarantees where I think back in the day they probably give you like a few thousand or whatever for your film, and then until they make their money back from selling it, then you start to see your percentage of profits. But these days they don't even do minimum guarantee for like a no name anymore, like a no name independent.
Yeah.
Whether it has awards or not is what I heard. I don't know. So the terms don't seem as appealing to because again, but I wouldn't have known this if I didn't have access, and that sales rep got me this access.
Oh, okay.
So that's been the benefit of it. But we'll see what comes up. Again, I haven't negotiated yet with anybody. I'm in intake process right now, and if there's one that I'm like, okay, maybe I don't mind working with you, then I'll probably negotiate with them.
We heard a distribution story last night that I think I can share obliquely, as in not give away details since I didn't ask this person permission, is that they had a type of movie that they specifically tried to sell through Christian markets. And this person's like, well, at the Christian stores, you have to sell it for X. If you put it in Walmart, it would be Y, which is less than X. And so year one, they didn't, see much from putting it in the Christian stores. Obviously, those exist throughout the country. And then year two, they put it in Walmart. And that's when that person saw, I think, multiple gains on the initial investment. So as a experience I heard, podcasts are just about communication with more people, I suppose. Are you guys talking about like how they would sell it in different ways, like put it on streaming, physical media, any of that? Does that stuff come up?
Yeah, a lot of them are pushing for streaming.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because it's the easiest means to do it. There's a few that have talked about DVD sales. But again, I don't know. But it's great to hear that, places like Walmart does great, but that sounds like Christian content. This isn't necessarily that. So
there was no swearing in this, was there?
Maybe like 3 times, 4 times.
I remember a few times.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Kirk would remember. He's got sensitive ears.
Sorry.
Well, on that topic,
All right.
What?
Sensitive ears?
Yeah, that's why you're a good audio editor.
Oh,
see, it was a compliment.
Backhanded compliment, yeah.
Backhand. One of the things you said that I disagreed with you about your own movie was like the microaggressions that people wouldn't notice. Was one of those microaggressions when he said, "I'm going to own your family for generations"?
Absolutely was.
That was a macroaggression.
I felt like that was blatant. Yeah,
that's a macroaggression. There's no way somebody that says that does not know what they're saying to somebody. Because, wow. You might have heard me like in the movie theater, like, holy crap, that guy just went for it. Paula caught him on.
He went for it.
He said he felt bad. And he said it on this
did.
podcast, and you said it when you were in front of the crowd, and that's
very sweet guy. He is nothing like his character.
Sure. He was on this podcast and explained to us what actually happened to Sharon Tate, and I hadn't retained the details because we were talking. The movie we were debating was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and this is just again to tease the linear listeners of the show. And I just do you know the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
yes.
And then what happens? Like, do you know what actually happened to her?
Yes.
Gross.
Horrible.
Yeah. Maybe I don't retain bad details. Do you retain bad details?
Sometimes depends.
Okay, that's awful. We're hitting up on time, so I want to talk about your heist movie and why you want to make a heist movie. What can you tell me about this heist movie?
So it is an art heist movie. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do something fun, but the creative comes in trying to figure out how do we make an ensemble but still make it affordable in independent terms. And the inspiration behind this is just the horrible back dealings in the art world when it comes to, rich people. They just have all the drama. So if you're not, well, first of all, I just find it fascinating that people can decide this glass of water is now $15 million. Just
like the banana on the wall.
Yeah, the banana on the wall with the tape. Yeah, exactly. Just like that. So that just fascinates me, for one. And then there are actually people who, not only art deal like legally, but also illegally. For example, there was this museum in Boston that had artwork of, I forget which artist it was, but some folks stole it in the middle of the night, and since then no one has ever heard anything about it. And they think maybe somebody sold it to like some oligarch or something somewhere, and they're just holding on to it for some sort of barter at some point. But yeah, so that kind of stuff just fascinates me, just how there are no rules for certain people. And I just wanted to explore that a little bit, but in a fun way.
Okay, that is a theme that I'm noticing. I can't remember if I got this from Tenet, which I am not a big fan. Did you see Tenet?
I did see Tenet. I don't understand it. It was a backwards forward thing. I was like, I get that it's trying to be cool, confusing. But this is above me.
Nothing is above anyone if they don't want it to be. A lot of what I've always heard is that fine art at the millions of dollars level is like a tax cheat, basically.
Yeah.
If I put my money into this $15 million painting, whether or not it's $15 million, you can't tax me on a painting that I put offshore.
Exactly.
Because that's what they were doing in Tenet. It's like we put our expensive art in this offshore place where it can't be taxed because I'm not holding the money here. Whereas if I hold it here, you can tax me. And as somebody who does not like spreadsheets,
Crazy.
What I find sometimes about engineers and folks who follow rules is they don't see around the corner of how, let's say, disreputable folks or more disreputable folks than they might. And engineering does not have as much space for being disreputable as, say, being an art dealer or a salesperson in a white-collar job may have in it. Not saying anything about myself personally or anyone I know, but you know who you are out there. Allison, thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, it's been fun.
Thank you. Great. Anything we forgot to ask? Anything you want to promote? Anything, before we throw it to Kirk to take us out?
My website, DjiniProductions.com. I got my films on there. I even have merch of my films on there.
You have merch?
I do. Oh. So if you click on like the poster, you can basically pull up whatever. So this is just trying to generate some money just to make the next thing. So I prefer if you buy my movies, but most of them are on YouTube now, except for the feature. But click share. It helps us out.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got to tell you this. We were on, the Farx brothers were on another podcast with a filmmaker who was in Robert Rodriguez's reality show about making a movie for $7,000. And he was saying the most he's ever made off of any of his features, because he's made a lot of these micro-budget $10,000 to $30,000, $50,000, was the only time he's made the most money, even with live screenings, is when he sold T-shirts.
See, look at that.
It's CPG products, consumer product goods. Get it out there, and I'm rooting for you and your products.
Thank you. Yeah, we're trying to just any way that we can to keep creating.
Well, before we go, Alison, was there any, we always ask our guests this, who would you like to be on the show? Like, who would you recommend? Yeah.
Oh, you guys should prep me for this, because have you guys had Charlotte Marie on here yet?
We haven't had Charlotte Marie on
well,
yet.
You got to have Charlotte Marie on here then.
We got to get Charlotte Marie on. We'll send her this, and we'll say, what movie do you want to bait? I respect her so much that disagreeing with her would make me feel, but I was able to do it with Lori.
That's for the show, though.
I know. Like, just see, and I'm just admitting my biases here that I don't like. I was scared to ask Lori, to be honest with you, but we baited the substance.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I haven't seen that. I want to see it, but
she hadn't heard of it.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so I felt like saying, hey, Lori, do you want to come on the show? Do you want to debate this movie you haven't heard of yet? Now I feel vindicated that it's nominated.
Yeah.
Now I feel not vindicated, brother. Sorry, I screwed up your ending. Charlotte Marie, anyone else?
Well, Justin Christopher Ide, if you can.
Okay.
Walker Projectionist. lover of the arts.
Hell yeah. Okay. Well, we'll ask you how to send him this afterwards. Thank you again for being on the show and with coming up with extemporaneous recommendations.
You're your big words, man.
That's the correct usage of extemporaneous. I was an extemporaneous speaking in college, and that's why I know that word.
Yeah, but what does it mean?
It means off the cuff.
Oh, all right. I'll just get in there with Word of the Day by Farx.
It's on my toilet paper.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh,